ver. There we go. All right. So números uno y dos. Entonces, díganme si tienen alguna pregunta respecto a número uno y dos. See if I can get it up. Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, I did see an error. I capitalized something. That F, the second one should just be a regular. Look at that.
Could you explain the differences between the Ds again?
Yeah, no problem. So it's an occlusive D if it comes after a pause or a nasal. After a pause or a nasal or an L. So an occlusive D comes after a pause. If it's el dedo, that's an occlusive D at the beginning of dedo. Un dedo, that's an occlusive D at the end at the beginning of dedo. And just after a pause, if I just start a sentence, pause, dedo, that's an occlusive D. So the regular D symbol. And in any other context, especially between vowels, it's the D with the little cross in the tail, which is the approximate D. Does that make sense? Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
So with that, does it change the D? Because in the sentences that you sent in the chat, it says todo el día, but you have todos los días. Does that change?
Oh, yeah, todo it. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even look at it. I assumed I said todos los días. So it would be, you're right. Good catch. El profe volao. So that would change it. So todo el día would be that way. So I assumed I said something else. And I'm sorry, that's a D with a cross. I really stink at drawing that. But yeah, good catch.
When do we use W, like Juan? Does it just replace the U?
The U when it makes that wuss sound, like fui, juego, something like that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. We're going to talk about that today's lesson when it's part of a diphthong. We'll talk about diphthongs, but yeah.
What about the N and the second N in anonymous?
Anonymous, yeah.
The second N isn't the long N with the little tail hanging.
No, that would be before a velar consonant. So, so like tango, mango, that would be so they're just
Okay.
regular velar, alveolar ends. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
So that's just a regular N symbol.
Yeah, my handwriting isn't that good, but yeah, it's just regular end.
Thank you.
¿Alguna pregunta sobre el número 1 y 2? Ok, déjenme transcribir 3 y 4 rapidito para poder conversar sobre ello. Ok, soy el lobo todopoderoso. And ahí, okay. Okay, ahí está. That soy el lobo, those are just to show for now that those are the same. That's gonna be the same L. Looks like I'm like hiding in the hey. Pregunta?
So for soy, it's an I.
Yeah, it's an I. The E sounds soy. So it's not a y sound or a y sound. It's just a regular I, soy. Just like the word E, like Juan y Maria, that would be transcribed as an I, E.
Okay. So it's only like, because sometimes you put the J with the little curly Q on it for Y.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
just what it makes?
that's orthographic Y would be the J with the curly Q. Oh, but yeah. Okay, you're right. So when it makes a y sound, that's what it would be, the J with the curly Q. But soy is considered actually just a diphthong. We'll talk about it. So it's just a regular I in this case for right now. It wouldn't be a Y. So
Thank you.
¿alguna otra pregunta? ¿Ninguna? Ok. Entonces, número 5. Número 5. Okay, ¿preguntas? I just realized it's like Inception. I can see the reflection of my computer screen on the whiteboard, and the whiteboard and on the computer screen, I can see that reflection. So it's like into eternity. ¿Pregunta? ¿Todo bien?
This might be like a really basic question, but what exactly do you mean by like a pause?
Oh yeah, no worries. It's like just a break in continuous speech. So maybe like, where you put a period, like ayer fui al supermercado. Donde encontré, or just any pause you make during conversation. So it's just sort of a break in the flow of conversation where there's no, it could be a brief second, less than a second, but any time there's that brief pause, that stops the flow of air in the conversation. And so it really can't be an approximate. You end up making that because it's no longer in that same phonetic context. There's a pause in speech to separate, the previous sound from that following sound. Does that make sense? In the continuity of speech. Does that make sense? So it's just any pause, you can make it after a period, like that kind of pause, or if you like stop, like, sí, ayer me corté, ¿cómo se llama? Me corté el dedo. There you go. So those pauses, dedo, then pause, dedo, and after thinking a little bit. So it's anything that breaks the flow of the conversation, of the speech signal. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question or?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
¿Ninguna otra pregunta? ¿Estamos bien? Okay. Entonces, let's move along. Let's finish chapter 2. We were talking about vowels and we're going to finish talking about vowels. Entonces, más sobre vocales y ahora vamos a hablar de semivocales, semi-vowels. Entonces, ya hablamos de esto, pero las vocales se clasifican especialmente en español. Vamos a usar solamente las criterios 1 y 2, altura y desplazamiento. En español tenemos redondeamiento también, pero solo hay 2 vocales redondeadas y son vocales posteriores en español, U y O. Estamos mayormente preocupados de altura y desplazamiento hacia adelante o hacia atrás. Entonces las vocales, a diferencia de la consonante, se clasifican a base o en base a la posición de la lengua en la boca, tanto la altura de la lengua como el desplazamiento hacia adelante, hacia el centro y hacia atrás. Entonces, por ejemplo, si tenemos una vocal, la vocal I, entonces eso sería una vocal alta. So you go first with the height, anterior. Alta, anterior. Alta porque la lengua está más para arriba y anterior porque está más para adelante. Entonces se ubica en una posición más adelantada en la boca y una posición más elevada. En cambio, si tengo O tengo A, sería vocal baja central. Sería vocal baja central. ¿Por qué? Porque la posición de la lengua se ubica en una posición más baja o menos elevada y luego también en una posición más centralizada dentro de la boca. No tanto hacia atrás ni tanto para adelante, es una posición más centralizada. Entonces, por eso se llama vocal baja central. So when you classify, you start with the height and then the frontness or the backness of the vowel. And I mean, you could say, if we're going to go with the rounding, we could, A would be no redondeada. All of them, E, E, and A would be no redondeada, and U and O would be redondeada. But like I said, that distinction isn't super important in Spanish because there's only two of them. In other languages, there are, like, you have two back vowels that are both, you know, one is rounded, one is unrounded. And they're like U, like in English, U and the difference there is they're both kind of high back vowels. Is a little bit lower, but like and book is not rounded, whereas and I don't know, Snoopy is redondeada. Entonces, ¿alguna pregunta sobre cómo clasificamos las vocales? Ok, muy bien. Las vocales españolas son puras, eso es lo que significa. Son no como muchas vocales en el inglés que se diptongan. Entonces, ¿qué significa vocales puras? Entonces, significa que no se diptongan. So if I say the word lo en español, lo, and then I say low in English. In English, it's an O followed by a U, low. Or I say no in English as opposed to no. No, no lo quiero. No, I don't want it. So in English, they have the tendency to what they call off-glide or diptongarse. Entonces, se vuelven diptongos, or you get another little vowel added onto the end of it. Se and say. Se y say. Entonces, por eso se dice que son vocales puras. Entonces, también las vocales españolas no se reducen tanto en sílabas no acentuadas para formar schwa. Es decir, mantienen su timbre. What is schwa? Does anyone know what schwa is? The term schwa? No? It kind of, if anyone, kind of sounds like shui, which is used by Kid Flash to say cool, but that's neither here nor there. Schwa is, you'll see this symbol, it's like an upside down E, and it's a centralized vowel. It's a mid-central vowel que se encuentra en inglés. Y cuando decimos que se reduce, que cuando hablamos inglés, en las sílabas no acentuadas, son unstressed syllables in English, vowels tend to gravitate, in not all cases, but in a lot of cases, gravitate towards a more centralized position in the mouth. Whereas in Spanish, they kind of stay, if you got multiple vowels over multiple syllables, unstressed syllables, it will stay the same. It won't like reduce. So if you say en español, banana, it's 3 A's, a. La lengua se mantiene en esa posición, a. Pero si lo decimos en inglés, banana, that last A at the end, that's your schwa, banana. So you hear the tongue, you know, searching for like a more centralized place in the mouth, and it happens in a lot of words in English. Entonces, en muchos casos de sílabas no acentuadas, y eso afecta nuestra pronunciación en español. Es una de las cosas, las cosas principales las cosas principales por las que se caracteriza el acento gringo, por decirlo así. So it's where you say gracias instead of gracias. That's the schwa, gracias. Buenos días instead of buenos días. So that is your English tendency to search for that centralized position in unaccent in non-stressed syllables, and you make that sound. So it's an The schwa is an sound. There's no schwa in Spanish. And so, for example, even when they say in Spanish, it's not it's m, o también, eso es en Chile, en otros países, pero también tienen otra palabra para decir eso como este, pero no, quizá pero nada de Eso, ese vocal media central, una vocal inglesa, bueno, una vocal que existe en otra lengua, pero en inglés se llama schwa. Entonces, por eso se dice que las vocales españolas son más puras, porque no se reducen. They maintain themselves the same relative tongue position in stressed and unstressed syllables, whereas in English, the tendency is for that tongue position not to maintain itself and to look for a more relaxed, centralized position in the mouth in English. ¿Alguna pregunta? Or, if I want to share with a schwa, alguna pregunta? Hear that? Alguna pregunta? So obviously I pronounce the T and the R different. So let's pronounce everything except the schwa. So alguna pregunta, you can still hear the alguna pregunta. So that that schwa is in an unstressed syllable, and that reflects the English tendency to reduce the vowels to more centralized vowels in unstressed syllables. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Ninguna pregunta?
Is this PowerPoint on Blackboard?
No, not this one. This is a new one. It'll go up right after class. So,
Okay.
¿alguna otra pregunta? No, ok. Entonces, vocales orales versus nasales, no vamos a tener que preocuparnos tanto de las vocales nasales, pero vocales orales que durante su articulación el velo del paladar está pegado a la laringe. So you have, so you can see my cursor. El velo se cierra y el aire pasa por la boca con las vocales orales. El aire escapa exclusivamente por el canal oral. So in vocales orales, you have all the airflow going through the mouth because this soft palate, this velum, blocks off the nasal passage from the throat and the glottis. So nothing goes up through there. Vocales nasales que ocurren en portugués, francés, por ejemplo, durante su articulación, el velo del paladar está abierto, está más abajo, en una posición menos elevada. Entonces el aire se escapa por el canal oral y también por la cavidad nasal. Entonces, so nasal vowels go out of the nose and the mouth. So that's what the majority goes to the nose, but some of it still makes it out of the mouth. So an example of this is you have the word for, I forgot how to change them. I don't have Portuguese keyboard, so I'm going to draw this. So you have the word for bread in Portuguese. It's, sorry. And then you got this little tilde above it. That's a nasalized vowel. So it's not pão, which if you say pão, that is a vulgar word in Brazilian Portuguese. It's pão, pão. You hear the nasal, it's coming kind of out of the mouth, and then it's pão, pão. Eu desejo pão, preciso de pão. Preciso de pão. There you go. Pão. In Portuguese, it's unique because for every Portuguese oral vowel, you also have a phonemic nasal vowel. Whereas in Spanish, nasalized vowels are only allophonic. And we're not going to, and nasalized, even then, that's it's a vowels become nasalized in Spanish only when they're near a nasal consonant. Entonces, whereas in Portuguese, they're an actual phoneme, nasalized vowel phoneme. Entonces, pero no tenemos que preocuparnos de las vocales nasales en español. Pero si fuéramos a hacerlo, la palabra mismo, that I would be nasalized because it's between, it's right here next to a nasal consonant there. Not as nasalized as in Portuguese, but some of the air when you pronounce it would escape through your nose. Mismo, mismo. So if you say it, just say mismo, mismo. Put your finger right by your nose, mismo, mismo. You feel a little bit of that air que se escapa por la nariz. Entonces, ¿preguntas sobre las vocales nasales? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Ok. No tenemos, como les dije, en español no vamos a hablar mucho de las vocales nasales porque son realizaciones alofónicas. Son frecuentes, pero no son tan importantes para esta clase. Pero si fueran a aprender una lengua como portugués o francés, sí tendrían que aprender vocales, vocales fonémicas nasalizadas. Entonces, como o, like the word no in Portuguese is N-A-O, but with the nasalized O, so it's no, no, something like that. Entonces, muy bien. Ahora vamos a hablar de diptongos. This is a word that made me laugh when I was in fourth grade. Diphthong, ho, ho, ho. But it's diptongo, entonces, en español. Son dos vocales que constituyen una única sílaba. Entonces, normalmente, en el español, cada sílaba tiene una vocal y las vocales están en sílabas distintas. Entonces, la palabra banana, cada sílaba tiene una sola vocal. A. Si tenemos la palabra, no sé, agosto, agosto. Cada sílaba tiene una sola vocal. Pero en algunos casos hay diptongos. Y los diptongos son cuando dos vocales forman una única sílaba. Hay una verdadera vocal y una semivocal. So you have a semi-vowel and a regular vowel. And these are formed, a diptongo in español is formed in this fashion. Your semi-vowels are always going to be, in almost every case, are going to be your high vowels, your E and your U. And then your full vowels in any diphthong are going to be your mid and your low vowel, E, O, and A. So, for example, if I have the word cierto, this is my diptongo. One syllable, cierto. It's not cierto, 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 not cierto. So that would be my diptongo. This would be my semi-vowel right here, and this would be my full vowel. And the way I'd write that then, there's two ways of writing it. You can use just a J and an E, and that can represent a Y diphthong, or you can write an I, well, I have to draw this one then, because I don't have an I with the little frowny face under it, and then an E. That'd be another way to, there's my brackets. Why am I doing this here when I have a whiteboard right here? What am I thinking? All right. And so that would be how you write the diptongo. Yeah, so you have either that or that. See, what was I thinking, man? I wasn't thinking. That's what I was. All right. Okay, so this would be how you write that diptongo. So your semi-vowel I has two symbols. You pick one and be consistent with it in your transcriptions. It's either the I with the smiley face or the J. If you have the diptongo like W-E, way, like que onda way, no, just way, W-E, like juego or something like that, or fue, it would be written as, so la palabra fue. Fue. I would write it like either this or this. So I'd write it like either that or that. So either a W or a U with a frowny face under it. Pick one and be consistent. I don't want to see W's here and then U's with frowny face down there. In your transcriptions, pick one and be consistent. So you have two semi-vowels in Spanish. The E when it's combined with a mid-vowel or a low vowel, and the U when it's combined with a mid-vowel and a low vowel. And this is how you would, two different ways I would accept you writing them. So like I said, pick one and be consistent. ¿Pregunta hasta ahí? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Ok. Vamos a seguir. Entonces tenemos dos tipos de diptongos. When your semi-vowel is before the full vowel, it's called a diptongo creciente, a rising diphthong. Diptongo creciente. And then when it comes after it, like an aunque or aun, when it goes vocal, semi-vocal, so when you have the full vowel first and the semi-vowel last, it's called a diptongo decreciente, or what is it? A rising and a falling diphthong. Falling diphthongs. So rising and falling diphthongs. It's interesting because what's a diphthong in English is different from what's a diphthong in Spanish. So IE in English can form two syllables, whereas in Spanish, IE, unless you accent the I, like I always say the difference when I'm telling my, 2000 level students that the accents matter, the difference between tenía where there's no diphthong, because that's accented, so it's a full vowel, so it's te, ni, a, 3 syllables. And teña, where it's not accented, so this is all, ña is all 1 syllable. Tenía, she, he, I had in the imperfect, and teña without the accent is tapeworm. So it changes obviously the meaning of it. Entonces, so the only time they would not form a diphthong is if it's overtly, the traditional semivowel is overtly accented. ¿Pregunta hasta ahí? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Ok, vamos a seguir. Vamos a seguir. Ok, entonces, en otro caso, donde hay 2 vocales, cuando solo hay medias y vocales, medias y bajas, they form 2 syllables in especially slower speech. That is called hiato, hiatus. Será cuando 2 vocales seguidas son pronunciadas en sílabas separadas. Secuencia que, mayormente secuencia que incluyen solo vocales medias y bajas, como ea, ae, eo, oa, whatever, son hiato en el habla cuidada. Poeta, feo, cae. Entonces es en el habla especialmente cuidada, más lenta, menos formal, no, más formal digo, tenemos lo que se llama hiato, cuando hay una secuencia de 2 vocales que se pronuncian en sílabas separadas. También, como en el ejemplo de la palabra tenía, if you have and día, for example, if you have an outright accentuation of that traditional semivowel, then that's considered hiato also. So tenía es hiato, porque la I y la A están en sílabas separadas. Día también, en hiato. Continúa versus continua. Entonces, ¿alguna pregunta sobre el hiato, hiatus? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Si hay pregunta, por favor. Sí, Kayla.
So you said like traditionally the dia would be like 2 syllables?
Yeah, it is true, 2 syllables, because that's accented right there, día, because that's no longer a diphthong. But in el habla cuidada, especialmente, when you get faster, sometimes those things break down. But todo día. That's still kind of 2 syllables. With día, it'd be more, but you get words like toalla, but you say that's toalla, becomes toalla. En el habla más rápida, a veces los hiatos se diptongan, pero en el habla cuidada aquí, día y continúa, son sílabas, son vocales en hiato, porque forman 2 sílabas y no en diptongo. Does that make sense?
Sí, thank you.
Muy bien. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
So you were saying that like as you speak faster, it can change it. So is it possible that you'd have 2 different people saying the same sentence and you would transcribe it differently based on like their pattern of speech?
Yeah, if you're doing an allophonic transcription, yeah. So the word kai, for example, kai, the book says that's yato, but I've never, it all seems like 1 syllable to me. You know, sekai. I guess I'm really slow. Sekai. But no, for me, it's 1 syllable, but the book has it as 2. But yeah, in el habla rápida, sekai. That almost becomes an I, sekai. And then eso sería diptongo en mi opinión. Entonces. So yeah, you could have 2 people saying it at different speeds and you get different transcriptions because different things, you know, as you speed up, things start to fall out. Sometimes vowels just disappear. Like in el español mexicano, por ejemplo, sí, pues, when you're going really fast, sometimes it just becomes sps, some sps, or entonces becomes entonces, or pues. Or here's an example of a diphthong turning into just 1 vowel, pues. In Mexican Spanish, sí, pos, no sé, pos. So it becomes from a we diphthongo to an o vowel, vocal. Entonces. So there's all sorts of wacky stuff that happens in el habla cotidiana y más rápida. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿No? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Ok, sigamos. Sometimes you do have triptongos. A triptongo es una secuencia de 3 vocales seguidas donde la vocal va precedida de semivocal, seguida por otra semivocal. Like so, like why, que why, you know, that thing, that'd be a triptongo. They're not as common in español. Que guay, que significa como que chido, que padre, que bacán, que genial, algo así. Entonces, no son comunes, entonces, en español. Pero se da mucho en la conjugación de la segunda persona plural en español, vosotros, por ejemplo. ¿Alguna pregunta sobre los triptongos? And as far as I know, there's not a quadruptongo. I've never heard of a quadruptong. So that's like if anyone's seen Gravity Falls, multi-bear. I don't think that exists in Spanish, a quadruptong. Entonces, muy bien. Ok. Entonces, vamos individualmente a hacer una transcripción alofónica de la siguiente palabra, prestando atención especial a las semivocales. Ahora, I want you to transcribe the diphthongs. Entonces, I'll give you about 4 or 5 minutes to transcribe these entre corchetes, poniendo atención a los diptongos. Y si van a escribir, cuando escriban las semivocales, elijan un símbolo y sean consistentes. So, if you're going to do this frowny face one, do the frowny face one always. If you can do the J and the W, do that always. Don't switch off and on between the two of them. Muy bien. Entonces, le voy a dar como 4 o 5 minutos para que transcriban y luego vamos a repasar las respuestas. Y pongan atención a los diptongos. I'm going to pause the recording. Ok, so número 1 en ejercicio 19. Diptongo o hiato. So just el que quiera que diga nomás. Diptongo o hiato. Diptongo, muy bien. Soña, no sonía, sino soña. Número 2, hacía. Diptongo o hiato.
Hiato.
Hiato, because you got the accented I. Number 3, hacia. Hacia.
Diptongo.
Diptongo, muy bien. Número 4, boato.
Diptongo.
Okay, I heard hiato y diptongo. Which one is it?
Hiato.
Maybe hiato. So remember, in Spanish, a diptongo has 2 parts. You have your semi-vowel, which is going to be an I or a U. So I, U, plus a vowel, which is, in this case, O, E, o A. So this will be what a diptongo will be like in Spanish. Entonces, si hay 2 vocales seguidas que no sean, y si ninguna de esas vocales es una vocal alta, entonces va a ser hiato. Entonces, boato. Número 5, baúl. Hiato o diptongo.
Hiato.
Hiato, because your traditional semi-vowel is overtly accented there. Europeo. So the first one, diptongo o hiato.
Diptongo.
Diptongo. And the last one, peo. Sounds peo. Sorry. Peo.
Hiato.
Yeah, hiato. Muy bien. I laugh because it sounds like in Chile they cut the D out there, so that's how they say how pelo sounds in Chile. So I was like, huh, peo. Anyway, I've got little kids, and so I've got little kid humor. Oigamos. Diptongo o hiato.
Diptongo.
Diptongo. Dueño. Diptongo o hiato. Dueño.
Diptongo.
Diptongo. Cuaderno. Diptongo o hiato.
Diptongo.
Diptongo. Peonada. Peonada.
Hiato.
Hiato, muy bien. Miedoso. Miedoso. Miedoso.
Hiato.
Diptongo is diptongo. You got your
Diptongo.
you got your semi-vowel here and your full vowel there. It's interesting because that would be in English, that would be 2 syllables, miedoso. Entonces en inglés, esa secuencia no sería una secuencia de diptongo para nosotros. Beodo. Beodo.
Hiato.
Hiato, muy bien. Fancy way to say drunk. Aeropuerto. Aeropuerto. So first one, technically the first one is hiato.
Hiato.
But when you say it fast, aeropuerto, aeropuerto. That's one of those cases where it becomes kind of a diphthong. Aeropuerto. You don't always say, voy al aeropuerto, aeropuerto. No, voy aeropuerto. Entonces se diptonga. The second part, puerto, where, diptongo o hiato.
Diptongo.
Diptongo, muy bien. 14, odiarás, diptongo o hiato. Diptongo, hiato.
Hiato.
Hiato, muy bien. No, odiar sería diptongo, sorry. Diptongo. And then tierno, diptongo, yato. Diptongo, muy bien. ¿Alguna pregunta sobre diptongo y yato? Remember, it's a diphthong. And the diphthong in Spanish is always going to be either one high vowel, an I or U, followed by either a mid vowel or a low vowel. So ie or a, your io or oi, and your ia or I. And then they're in yato if they're two mid vowels or a mid vowel and a central vowel together, or if the traditional semi-vowel, your I or U, like in hacía and baúl, is overtly accented, then that'd be yato. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Ninguna pregunta? Ok. Vamos a volver a la presentación. Y vamos a hablar de la contracción silábica en esta clase. Creo que quizás podamos hablar en otra ocasión sobre la contracción silábica. Pero vamos entonces a ver el trabajo en grupo. We're not going to have time to go over it, but I'll show you kind of what it is. Trabajo en grupo, ¿dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás? Trabajo en grupo, no, translation. Let me pull it up. Trabajo en grupo. Ok, esto es. So I will send this to you in the chat para que todos tengan. Y en la próxima clase, la mayoría de la clase, vamos a hacer esto. So this is what we're going to do. You all have your own copy, but I'm going to put you into groups next class, and you do it together. And at one group, you'll go on to Blackboard and you turn in one copy. You all can keep your own copy for study purposes, but then you will turn in one copy with all of your names on it for the group. And so I can't write on this. So I'm going to try to send the Word version so you can write on it, but if that doesn't happen, I'm going to have to just put it up on Blackboard. So let me see. Did everyone? Oh no, that's a PDF. Sorry, hold on. I was like, sweet, it's in a Word document. Oh, it's in a Word document. Sweet. Did everyone get that Word document, the second one? It should look like this PDF right here. So it's 25 points. You can save it, your own copy for your own purposes, but you're going to turn in one copy per group. So it'll be about 4 to 5 people per group in Blackboard, and that will be next class. But I'll give this all to you so you have a copy of it. So ¿tienen alguna respuesta corta? Some short answer? Something about what we just talked about, diptongo, ñato, vocales, and you have some transcriptions based on the parameters. Like you have to give the parameters, punto, modo, punto y voz, and don't forget an example. If you forget an example, I can't give you full credit. And then you have to give the symbols based on the description, and then you have some phonetic or allophonic transcription. So the transcriptions are going to be in corchetes, and that's trabajo en grupo uno. So it's a review of basically chapter 2 that obviously you get, it's a homework, you get points for it, but you also, it'll help you review for the test. ¿Alguna pregunta?
Do we know who's in our groups?
Next class, we're gonna, because we don't have time to do that today. Just so I'm just giving it to you so you can see it. But we're gonna do it in class next class. So your groups will be assigned next class. I'm just giving it to you ahead of time so you can see what it's like. ¿Alguna pregunta? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, because if I do groups right now, we have about 3-4 minutes. And then I don't remember what those groups are for next class. And there's a bunch, so I'd have to sit there and write everything down and then get next class, arrange it so everyone's in the same group. So it's easier if we just, from the get-go, next class, do it. Entonces. And so the next 2 classes, we're done with chapter 2. The next 2 classes are going to be reviewed for the test, including este trabajo en grupo. And I will put an update. So I'll put an updated syllabus on the, because I already sent in the chat, but I'll put an updated syllabus on Blackboard 2 with the new test date and everything. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Alguna duda? ¿Nada? ¿Nada? Anyone want life advice? No, probably not. Okay, muy bien. Entonces, nos vemos el martes. Que les vaya súper bien. Gracias por venir. Aunque hoy es jueves, otra vez, que tengan un buen fin de semana. Cualquier pregunta, cualquier duda, estoy a la disposición. You need like a Zoom session with me to practice transcribing everything. Just let me know and we'll schedule it, and I can answer whatever question you might have. Muy bien. Bueno, entonces nos vemos. Que le vaya súper bien. Que tengan un fin de semana maravilloso. Chao, chao.